Welcome everybody to this new Adobe Premiere tutorial. Today I'm gonna show you the Adobe Premiere 2018 basics. So hopefully in less or in 15 minutes I'll be able to show you the basics of Adobe Premiere, how to bring a project in and get started editing and export it to YouTube. So let's get started. So we're gonna go ahead and open Adobe Premiere. I have it down here, but if you don't, you can go into the search bar and just type Premiere, Adobe Premiere. It's right there. You can hit return or enter, and that's gonna open the latest version of Premiere. Now, when you get this screen right here, you're gonna hit new project. You're gonna name your project Premiere in 15, and you're going to tell Premiere where to send your files and your scratch disk. Usually what I do is I have one folder where I have all my assets, and within that folder I create subfolders to organize my assets. But I find that that's the best way to organize your project and your files, because if you want to move from one working station to a different working station, it's easier just to copy one folder with everything in that folder instead of having to gather different files from different folders, and then if you move to a different working station you might be missing files. So the easiest way is to have everything in one place. So you're gonna go to scratch disks and you're gonna browse. Actually, you're gonna go to the location, you're gonna browse for you're gonna find the folder, you're gonna create a folder, whatever it is that you want to storage or save your project. I have my first folder right here. It says Premiere 15 tutorial, and double click on it. I'm gonna choose that folder. Now under scratch disks, I'm gonna have same as project selected. You can customize this, but again, I wanna have everything in one folder, so I'm gonna leave it as same as project. So all the Premiere files, the rendering files, the audio files, the video preview files are gonna go to the same project folder. Once I have all these set, I'm gonna hit OK. Then you'll get the default Adobe Premiere interface. This one that I have right here is not the default interface. It's my customized interface. But if you go to Window Workspaces, you can go back to the default editing Adobe Premiere interface, which is this one right here. Again, you can customize it. So I'm gonna go back to mine. And actually I want to show you how to customize it. It's really easy. You can just click on tabs or click on windows and you can just move them. Click and drag him and drop him into different spots. If I wanted to have this window, the effects tab or the effects window, if I wanted to move it up here and have it as a new tab, I will left click on it, and as I click on the left button of my mouse, I will drag it all the way up here and then drop it, and then there you go. See, you have it right here, and you can use the same the same concept to rearrange windows and effect windows or whatever it is that you want to change with the interface. So I've done that before, and I changed mine, and I changed it the way I like to have it to edit. So I'm just gonna go to mine, go back to my interface. So here we are. So the first thing we're going to do, as I'm gonna show you very quick, in this window right here, this is called the project window, and here's where we're going to have all our media, video, photos, audio, graphics. here, right here, this is the viewer. Here's the first window where we're gonna be able to preview our clips. Here is where we're gonna have our preview from our timeline. And here's our timeline. And then here we have the effects tab. And I have it with the info tab and the media browser tab. So now I'm gonna show you how to import files. There's a couple of different ways to do it. So on the project window, you're gonna hit Command I, or you're just going to double click on this area right here. And that's gonna bring you to a Finder window. Here you're gonna browse through your computer. You're gonna find the footage that you want to import. So I'm gonna browse through it. I'm gonna find it. And I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna click on the folder with the files. And then I'm gonna hit import. And now I have all my files right here. I have a bunch of pictures and I have my video files. So within the project window, once you import the files, you can have your files as a list, or you can have them as thumbnails, or icon views it's called. So the beauty of using the icon view is that you can actually browse your video files, your clips. If you just browse through browse over or hover over the clip, you'll see what the clip looks like, or what's the content of the clip. So this is super useful because it allows you to browse very quickly throughout your footage, and you can decide very quickly what you want to actually use. So in this case, I'm going to use this shot right here. I'm going to double click. Once you double click on it, it's going to appear on the preview window right here. And here we're going to select that we're going to give it an in point and an out point to the segment of the clip that we want to use in our edit. For example, I want this clip to go from right here. I want it to start right here. So I'm gonna hit my I key to create an in mark. Then I'm gonna let it run for a little bit. Just a few seconds. That looks pretty good. And now I'm gonna hit my O key to create an out mark. So now I'm gonna click on the window. I'm gonna click on the clip. I'm gonna drag it and drop it on my timeline. Once you do that, Premiere automatically will set up your timeline settings to match the settings of your clip, which is super useful and it'll make your life easy for sure. As you can see, this footage right here is I shot it with my GH5, with my Panasonic GH5 using Vlog. So that's why it looks flat, but then we're gonna give it a little bit of color grading and it'll look much better. So again, we're gonna do the same thing to create a quick edit here. We're gonna go through a couple of different clips. I want to start right there, click, make an in mark, set up my in point, and now I'm gonna set up my out point once the movement is done. Oh, actually that's not good. Let's browse a little more. How about there? So my in point here and out point there. All right. Now the same thing, we're gonna drag it down, drop it right next to the other clip. So now if we play what we have on the timeline, you see the cut right there, goes to the next shot. Great. Now we're gonna find a third shot. It's close up of her shoes. Create my in point, a few seconds, and then my out point. It's same thing, I'm gonna drag it down and drop it. Perfect. If you don't drop it, if you don't drop it right next to it, if you have this gap in between, you just right click in between and then click on ripple delete. And that is it. Perfect. So now we have a quick edit with 3 shots. As you can tell, none of these shots have audio because they were shot in slow motion. So we're gonna add a little bit of music just to kind of make it a little more realistic and show you how to work with audio here. So I'm gonna navigate. First, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna zooming into my timeline. The shortcut to do that, it's hitting Command and the plus sign. Minus to go out and plus to zoom in. The other way to do it, if you don't want to do that, is you can drag this little thing right here to the right or to the left, and that'll help you navigate your timeline once you have more clips on it. So now we're going to do the same thing to bring some music. So I'm going to hit Command I again, but first let me go back. Whatever selection you do, you have to make sure that you're on the right window. So if you click on this window, you see that you get this a blue outline. That means that this window, the project window, is selected. So if you go, let's say for example, if I'm here, if my preview window is selected and I use my zoom in and out shortcut, I'm gonna zoom in and out on this timeline of my preview window. So if I click on my timeline and I do the same thing, it's going to do it on the timeline. If I go here, it's going to do it here. So make sure that the window you're working on is the window that is selected. So I'm going to click on my project window, and then I'm going to hit Command I again, and I'm going to browse through my computer and find where my music is. So click on my file, on my music file, and hit import. Once you have it here, you can either double click on it and open it on the preview window if you just want to use a segment of it. But if you know that you're going to use the whole clip or the whole song, you can just drag it directly into the timeline and just drop it. Here, to be able to see better, we can actually make our music, our audio tracks wider, and you can do the same with your video tracks. Once you have your music here, so you can just play it back. It's a little loud, so the way to bring the volume down is if you zoom in and make your audio track wider, you see that there's this little volume level line right here. So you can drag it up or down, depending on if you want to make it louder, you go up. If you make it quieter, you're going to drag it down a little bit. So we're just going to drag it down just a tad. Let's play it back again. Let's bring it down a little more. Right about there. We have our 3 clips. We have our song. But the song right here is super long. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut it and we're going to fade it out at the end. So we're going to use our razor tool, and the shortcut to do that is to hit the B key, and now it takes you to the razor tool. But if not, you can, if you don't want to do that or you don't remember it, you could just click on it. It's the little razor right here. I have it on my tool window right here, tools window right here. So click on the razor blade tool. You're gonna make one click that creates one cut. Then you're gonna go back into your selection tool. The shortcut for that is the letter A, or you're just gonna go back here and just click on it, and then click on the rest of the clip that you want to delete, and then just hit the delete key. So now we have our edit, but we want to make the sound, we want to make a fade out with this song so it's not abruptly interrupted or cut out at the end. You're gonna right click at the end of the clip and you're gonna apply the default transition. And usually the default transition with Premiere is cross dissolve, or in this case, if you don't have another clip next to this next to the clip, it's a fade out or a fade in if it's at the beginning of the clip. So we can preview it. So now it's not cutting out. If you delete this and you play it, it just cuts out abruptly, and if you click on it and you delete it, it just cuts out and that it doesn't sound good. So we're just gonna bring our fade out back. You can make it a little longer if you want to. You can actually do the same thing for your video track. So you're gonna apply the same transition. We're gonna make it a little shorter. We don't have to worry about this one because there's no sound here. And that's it. Perfect. Right now we have a straight cuts in between the shots, but you might want to use a transition. So you're going to use the same technique. You're going to right click in between both clips and you're going to hit apply default transition, which is the normal cross dissolve. Now click on it, and now you have that nice little transition. If you want to make it longer, you can stretch it out. If you want to make it shorter, you can make it shorter by dragging it to the right. All right, cool. That looks pretty good. So we're gonna do a very quick color grading here. We're gonna click on this clip. We're gonna double click, and then we're gonna hit the color tab. Now we're gonna open Lumetri Color, which is this really cool color grading tool that Premiere has built in. Once you open Lumetri Color here in Premiere, we're gonna apply a LUT into our clips, and LUTs are lookup tables for quick color correction or kind of like a preset color grading tools, which are super useful to color grade quickly and efficiently. So Premiere comes with some default ones. There's a ton of LUTs out there, some for free, some you have to buy, but it really kind of depends on what you like and the style you like. The way I use them is I use them as a starting point, and then I kind of tweak a little bit until I get to a point where I'm happy with the results. So I'm just gonna use the Alexa default Rec 709. So I'm gonna click on it, and as you can see right away, you can see the difference between what it looked before and what it looks now, without anything else, without any kind of more advanced color grading. This is without it, and this is with it. So it looks pretty good already. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. I'm gonna lower the exposure just a tad. I'm going to add a little bit of contrast, and the sun is a little bright, so I'm gonna bring the highlights down a little bit, and shadows just a little bit like that, and play with the blacks a little bit too to make the trees stand out more. All right, cool. So that looks pretty good. All right, so the next step, once I have color graded my shot, I'm gonna go back to my default editing interface. But now I have, this one's color corrected, but I want all my shots to be color graded, right? So if I'm happy with the way this shot looks, what I'm going to, and I want to replicate that look onto the other shots, the easiest and fastest way to do is to right click on it, copy, then select the clips that you want to copy the color grading to, then right click on them and hit paste attributes. Here we already have the motion and volumetric color selected. We have the volume too, but we don't have to worry about that because these clips don't have audio. So I'm just gonna uncheck this, and now I'm just gonna hit OK. And now if you preview these other two clips, they're all color graded. So if you play it back, yeah, there you go. So that looks pretty good. Let's say that I want to add a picture and give the picture, that one picture, some movement. So I'm gonna go back to my media, ingested media, and I'm going to select a picture which I have right here. I'm gonna double click on this picture and I have it here in my preview file, and then I'm going to drag it and then I'm gonna put it on top of this one right here. So now I'm using a second video track, and this is going to so now I'm using a second video track, and what I want to do is I want to play the first clip that I had. It was a little long, so I want to play the first part of the clip, then in the middle I want to cut to this picture and then go back to the end part of this clip and then continue with my editing. So I play it and it cuts to the picture, right? But the picture looks a little boring. There's no movement, there's nothing going on. So I'm gonna give the picture a little bit of a movement. So the way to do that is just double click on the picture, hit effect controls, and go to the beginning of your picture. With the arrows right or left, you're gonna move one frame at a time and go to the first frame of that picture and click on the stopwatch of the scale. Open the scale and you drag this right here. You can see how big the picture is. So what I want to do is I want to start with a wider shot and then slowly I want to zoom in. So once I have the stopwatch selected, I'm gonna select the point in the picture where I want to start, and then I'm gonna move back to my timeline. I'm gonna go to the very last frame of that picture, and now I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So there's a small movement. So if I go back to the beginning of that clip, play it back. All right, that looks way better. We have completed our edit. We are ready to export it and post it on YouTube. So we're going to go to File, then Export, Media, and here Premiere makes this really easy for you because there's a bunch of presets that you can use. So you're gonna go on Format, under Format H264, and under Preset you're gonna click on Preset and you're gonna go all the way down to YouTube 1080. Once you've selected that, you're gonna click on the output name, you're gonna browse your computer and you're gonna find the folder where you want to export your file to. I'm gonna name it, hit save, and then we're gonna hit export. And now Premiere is going to export the final video ready for uploading on YouTube. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you liked the video. I hope you find it useful. This is for beginners to get you started using Adobe Premiere. It's an amazing tool. You'll have a lot of fun using it. Hit that like button if you liked the video, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And please let me know in the comments below what kind of tutorials you would like me to do for you. I'm gonna try to upload a new tutorial every week So just let me know.